Hello, hello, and welcome to Call Tracking Metrics Academy. It is 2 o'clock, so let's go ahead and dive into this. Um, we wanted to thank you all for attending today's class. My goal is to provide you with the information, resources, and tools to make the most of your Call Tracking Metrics account. Now, this is Intro to Call Tracking Metrics Part 1. What we have prepared for you this week is we have 5 days of courses. Each course could be taken by itself. They also all go together. So the theme of today is going to be starting out as a new user. So brand new introduction to Call Tracking Metrics and our concepts. So welcome everyone. But before we begin, we have a few logistical items to cover. First, every effort was made to ensure that the information provided in today's class is accurate and up to date. And we ask that you do not distribute these materials as they become outdated very quickly. We do have a few recommendations for you today. First, please make sure that you're logged into your Call Tracking Metrics account. It's also very helpful if you have 2 monitors so that you can set one to view your CTM account and then the other to view the presentation. This will be handy because we will be doing some workshops. So that will help. We also recommend that you use either the latest version of Google Chrome or Firefox. Right. We also have an assumption today and one that you are a client of ours. If not, welcome, we're thrilled to have you. If you did want to follow along for the workshop portions, you could head over to our plans page. Getting signed up with us only takes a couple of minutes. So if you wanted to, you could head over there and be signed up and on track by the time we're actually into the content of today. Okay, so again, we have a nice agenda for you today. Today's class typically runs just about an hour long. The time will vary really depending on the type of questions that we have. So in our first section, we're going to be covering a lot of our core concepts. So we're going to look at things like the tracking code, tracking number, receiving number, target numbers, tracking sources. And then in the second part of today, we're going to be looking at actually purchasing numbers, porting numbers into our platform, and then how you can request vanity numbers. So then we're going to put it all together into a working session, actually go in, purchase numbers, set them all up, place a phone call, test them. So yes. So that is our agenda for today. And with that, hello and welcome again. My name is Jessica Michaels. I'm our Google Guru and Product Coach here. Happy to say I've been on the team for over 6 years now. And as coach, I always like to start my webinars with a few exercises just to make sure that we are all in a good place and can hear and see me, as well as familiar with our Zoom panel. So if you can hear and see me, my screen, will you raise your hand on your Zoom panel? All right, I see hands going up all over the place. Excellent. Good stuff. And oh, there's a lot of us on here today. Welcome. Let me go ahead and lower these hands. Okay, now if you can find the Q&A box or the chat box, why don't you tell me a little something about yourself, who you are and where you're dialing in from. This is a live webinar, so thank you all for attending. And with that, it is common that I might show something, maybe the wrong screen. So at any time, if it sounds like I should be showing something and I'm not, let me know in either the Q&A or in the chat box. I see somebody questioned in, is it possible to add subtitles in Spanish? That would be very cool. Unfortunately, I don't believe, because this is a live recording or a live broadcast, that that is something we can accomplish. Let's see now, as far as tending in or logging in, looks like we have people. We have Brian from Pennsylvania, welcome. We have Anita, who is with Northwest Advanced Medical, welcome. We have, ooh, we have Meredith who's coming in from Wilmington, North Carolina. We have Jesse from Anaheim, California. Welcome. Let's see. We have people coming in from Texas, Kansas City. Brad from Kansas City. Welcome. All right. We have Tori from Groundworks Company in Columbus, Ohio. Welcome. We have people dialing in from Scottsdale, Florida. All right. We have a lot of people out here today. So I wanted to personally welcome everyone, but it looks like we just have too many. So welcome everyone. Thank you for saying hello. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into the content today. So if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to enter them into the Q&A box or the chat. I'll be monitoring those as we're going. If I don't answer them live, we will have time at the end for questions. So, okay. Oops. So first, we do have 3 new resources available for you. These are great. We have our newly redesigned knowledge base. We've just launched our first community. The community is a really great place if you have things like integration requests, or if you've discovered a really cool use case for our product, put it there and then other users can engage with it. We've also just launched our Launchpad Training Hub. So that's going to be content similar to this, but broken out into little step-by-step self-guided training. So I'll actually walk you through all of those later on after the courses. So, okay, let's look at our core concepts. So a good way to think of the core concepts is like the puzzle pieces needed to configure your CallTrackingMetrics account. Like putting together a puzzle, it's not necessarily the order in which you put it together that matters. What matters is that all the pieces are lined up and connected. Because of this, you can connect multiple concepts together in several different orders. In this course, we're going to be focusing on the high-level aspects of each feature. So with that, I have a quick video, which is going to go over some of our concepts.
This is Michelle. Michelle is a successful marketer. Michelle is successful because she has a secret weapon fueling her advertising. She knows exactly which advertising channels are bringing in the most leads and generating the most sales. She uses CallTrackingMetrics. Here's how it works. Michelle advertises in many places like online ads, radio ads, and email campaigns. CallTrackingMetrics assigns a unique tracking number to each individual advertising channel, allowing her to measure which advertising channels are driving phone calls and sales. Michelle has a budget for each marketing channel. Call tracking measures the quantity and quality of calls for each advertising channel and provides insight into which marketing channels are generating the most phone calls and sales. Using this data, Michelle adjusts her marketing budget to intelligently invest in the highest performing campaigns. Call tracking is quick and easy to set up. First, you'll need to purchase your tracking numbers. Tracking numbers are available in over 70 countries in both local and toll-free. CTM offers vanity numbers as well. Next, you'll need to select the receiving number, which is where you want the tracking number to ring. Tracking numbers can be routed to your desk phone, your cell phone, or a call queue. It can be set up to ring specific phone lines in a sequence or all at the same time. Lastly, you'll need to assign a tracking source to the tracking number. If you can put a phone number on it, CallTrackingMetrics can track it. Installing CTM's tracking code allows the phone number on your website, known as the target number, to be dynamically replaced with a tracking number. The tracking numbers swap based on how a visitor comes to your website. CallTrackingMetrics is also a Google partner and has direct integrations with Google Analytics and AdWords. So your call data can be sent into Analytics as events and calls into AdWords as conversions. CallTrackingMetrics provides all the reporting you need to make the most of every call and increase your return on investment. Stop wondering which advertising channels are converting into sales and profit and start tracking them today. Get started and discover how CallTrackingMetrics can transform communication into powerful intelligence.
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that little video. We have a couple of those throughout the course today. So that did introduce us to some of our basic terminology. So again, that's going to be tracking number, target number, receiving number, tracking source, and tracking code. So now let's take a deeper dive into what those terms mean. So first up, we're going to look at the tracking number. So before you can use our system, you'll need to purchase at least one tracking number. Tracking numbers are used to track each of your traditional and online advertising channels so that you always know which ads are performing. The numbers can be placed in your offline ads, or you can use our dynamic number insertion to have your online numbers appear automatically on your website when someone comes to your website through a channel that you are tracking. And tracking numbers are most commonly used to track and attribute activities such as phone calls, text messages, form submissions, and online chats to individual marketing campaigns. But they are also assigned to individuals as personal or direct lines. Tracking numbers are specific phone numbers that can be either local or toll free numbers that are going to route to your business number, which we're going to take a deeper dive into all of this throughout the course today and throughout the week. Okay, so one of the first questions I usually get with tracking numbers is going to be, how many tracking numbers do I need, to accurately track and attribute your CTM activities, which would be, phone calls, text messages, form submissions, and chats. So in order to determine how many tracking numbers you'll need, first we'll need a quick lesson on tracking sources. So tracking numbers are assigned to a tracking source, and there are two types of tracking sources, and that's going to be online and offline sources. So first, we're going to look at offsite sources. So these sources include TV, print, radio, billboard, flyers, and so forth. For each of your off-site sources, we would recommend that you have one tracking number. So for example, you can assign a tracking number to a specific billboard or a tracking number to a specific ad that airs on a particular radio channel. So with those, it's really going to be one-to-one. You have your number, and then it's almost like you're applying a label to it, so that we can attribute, that phone call coming in to that advertising channel. So an easy way to think about offline sources is that that's going to be anywhere that's not on your website. So even places like social media and online listings like Yelp will have offline sources. It becomes an on-site source when a user clicks from a referring source like Facebook to your website. For many referring sources like social media, you'll want to have both an offline and an online tracking number and a source for those. So I see somebody ask a question, is a tracking number a new phone number? Yes. So that's going to be a phone number that you purchase through our system, which we'll be demonstrating today. So next, we have this concept of on-site tracking sources. So on-site is going to be, tracking that takes place on your website, where we're going to be dynamically swapping out the number. So these sources are going to include things like Google Ads, Google Organic, Bing, Facebook, Facebook Paid, AdRoll, email marketing. So these sources are going to be when a tracking number will dynamically appear on your website. And for these on-site sources, we would recommend one tracking number for every 20 daily visitors to your website from each individual source. So an example of this would be, we have Jane Doe here, who has an average of 2,000 daily visitors to her website via Google Ads, an additional 400 visitors to her web pages through links and email campaigns. So with this, she would need to buy and assign 100 tracking numbers to Google Ads and have 20 tracking numbers for her email campaigns. The system will evenly distribute how many visitors see the tracking number for your on-site sources across the day. The system will remember which tracking numbers the visitors saw, and it will continue to show them the same number each time they come back to your website. Okay, so with this, we have a tool, which is the likelihood score. So the likelihood score applies to online sources only. The likelihood score is going to refer to how confident we are that a particular website visitor made each phone call. I see somebody's raising their hand. Don't know why, so sorry. So the likelihood score is going to be telling us how confident we are that we made a correct match. Now in the screenshot, we can see we have the likelihood score right here, as well as it's going to show right here. So this is going to say how confident we are that this session was performed by this caller. Oh, I see somebody was asking how many tracking numbers do we need for offline sources? So that would be a 1-to-1. So you would only need one for your online or your offline. Okay, so with that, a pop quiz here, which is going to be, how many tracking numbers would we need for these? So again, for online, we'd recommend 1 to 20, and for offline sources, we'd recommend 1 per source. So with the information we had here, I have a pop quiz. So let me go ahead and launch this. So given the information above, how many tracking numbers would you purchase for all of your offline sources? So would that be 1, 6, 14, or 21? There's actually some more questions. If we scroll down, for the on-site tracking source of Google Ads, how many tracking numbers would you need to purchase to achieve a good accuracy? Would it be 500, 125, 250, or 75? For number 3 here, we have how many tracking numbers should you purchase for all 3 of your Facebook tracking sources? Would that be 246, 395, or 150? So I'll give you guys just a minute to give it a shot. While you guys are filling that out, I did see somebody chatted in, will the recording of this presentation be sent after the training ends? We actually don't send it out, but we do put it on our knowledge base, so you can see it there. I try to upload it before each day, so this one will go live before 2 o'clock tomorrow. All right, it looks like only 30% have voted. So let's see if we can get a few more of you to give it a guess. Don't worry, there's no failing here. All right, here's some more, and let's go ahead and end this. And let's view our results. So given the information we have here, how many tracking numbers should we purchase for all of our offline sources? Looks like the majority has spoken correctly of 6. That is correct. You would only need 1 tracking number per offline source. So in this case, that would be 1 for your flyers, 1 for your radio, 1 for your organic, Facebook, so anything you have offline. So good job there. For the second one, for on-site tracking sources, for your Google Ads, how many tracking numbers would you need? So in this case, what we would do is we would take 5,000 and we would need to divide that by 20. So that would be 250. So good job. Looks like the majority got that one right as well. Now I did see that some people selected 500. Now that's really not necessary. Now we're not going to tell you not to, but we're going to get really good accuracy with 1 to 20. So you don't need that many. So save yourself a couple bucks. So the next one, this is the tricky one. For how many tracking numbers should you purchase for all 3 of your Facebook tracking sources? So in this case, we would add up our Facebook and Facebook ad sessions and then divide that by 20, and then we'd add our offline Facebook source to that, which would give us 246. So doesn't look like the majority got that one right, but that's okay. Good. This is a good exercise, right? Works the brain for applying this logic. So good job with that, and thank you for participating. So next we're going to talk about the target number. So the target numbers are the phone numbers on your website that can be dynamically swapped to a tracking number. If you want to be able to replace multiple numbers on your website, you will need to add target numbers for each phone number on your site. Our tracking code looks for the target numbers on your website, and it's going to dynamically insert a tracking number in its place. The tracking number will attempt to use the same format as the target number as it appears on your website. Okay, so there are two types of target numbers. We have phone match, which is going to be our default, and then we have exact match. So a phone match I personally like because it's very forgiving. So this target number type will look for the number you enter and should be able to read the number in any common format. So like we have over here, whether you're using, dots, dashes, spaces, it's going to recognize it. Now with exact match, it has to be in the exact format that you entered it in. So phone match is going to be the default. Exact match is if you're trying to swap out with something like a vanity number here. In this case, you'd want to have an exact match and a phone match in order to accommodate that. Okay, so we're going to be moving to talking about tracking sources. So tracking sources are the marketing channels that your tracking numbers will be attributed to. In some cases, tracking sources are used for non-marketing attribution purposes like personal lines. A single tracking source can have one or more tracking number assigned to it, but a tracking number can only be assigned to one single tracking source. This sounds confusing. Once we're in the system and you see it, it will make a lot more sense. The tracking sources are where you program when a tracking number should swap for a target number. Or if you're tracking only offline sources such as flyers or radio ads, the source acts more like a label for your tracking number. So we have another video which is going to introduce us into some more details of the tracking source. So let's check this out.
Understanding tracking sources. A tracking source refers to the advertising channel that you want to track and attribute calls, texts, and form submissions to. If you put a phone number on it, CallTrackingMetrics can track it. Tracking sources. A tracking source can be assigned to any advertising channel. For example, common tracking sources are Google AdWords, printed flyers, billboards, and organic traffic. There are two types of tracking sources, off-site and on-site. Off-site tracking sources are your traditional advertising methods, like signs, billboards, radio ads, flyers, and television commercials. On-site tracking is advertising that takes place online with session data being attributed to the activity. Common on-site tracking sources are Google AdWords, Facebook, Bing ads, organic traffic, and email campaigns. Tracking technology. On-site tracking sources use dynamic number insertion, commonly referred to as DNI. Dynamic number insertion will replace the phone number on your website with a tracking number based on how the user came to the page. The swapping of the phone number is triggered by either the referring URL or landing page URL. Common examples of referring URL triggers are Facebook, Twitter, or Google. For landing page triggers, the number will dynamically swap based on defined characteristics of the landing page. specifically UTM tags or additional data sent in the URL.
Okay, so hopefully that helped explain or introduce how we build tracking sources and how they operate. Oh,
Understanding
stuck there. So with tracking sources, we have two types in the sense of we have on-site and off-site. But when you're actually building them, there's two ways to set them up. One is we're going to have our preset tracking sources. Now, I would always encourage and point people to start with those. So with our presets, that's going to be totally pre-configured for you. So if you're trying to track something like Google Ads, Google Organic, Bing Paid, Facebook, etc., those are going to be pre-built for you. So last I counted, I think we have around 35 of those. But obviously we can't create a preset for every scenario that you might need. So with that, we have custom tracking sources. So with custom tracking sources, with those, you'd actually go in and we'd be building it from scratch. So with that, there's really three components to a custom source. The first one is going to be, applying a name to it. The second step is going to be deciding, all right, is this going to be on-site or off-site? So are we going to be doing D&I with this? And then if it is an on-site source, we're going to have to set up the trigger for when we should actually swap out for that number. So with that, again, we have two types of tracking sources, which is going to be on-site and off-site. On-site tracking sources is used for tracking numbers that will be dynamically appearing on your website when a visitor comes to your site from a source that you are currently set up to track. Off-site tracking sources is used when no number swapping will occur. So this would be, a term that we use here, hard-coded. So basically printed in a sense. So is this going to be on a flyer? Is this going to be on a billboard? Are you using this on your business card? That's going to be, just when the number stays there. Okay. So with tracking sources, we have the conditions. So once you choose on-site as a type, then you'll need to tell our system how to identify visitors from that source. So this information is either going to come in through the referring URL or the landing page URL of those visitors. In general, you want to identify a source using landing page URL when you control something like the ads destination URL. You would use a referring URL when you do not control the URL that the visitor comes in on or where they land. So with that, we have tracking source positions. So this is used to prevent overlapping rules. So the tracking source position will determine, the priority of the source. So the lower the number, the higher the priority. So some position examples, this can actually be a little bit tricky, but if we're thinking of the tracking sources like Google Ads and Google Organic. So with that, those are both going to be referred from Google's search results page, right? If you click an ad or you click an organic listing. So those would technically both be referrals, but Google Ads is going to write in a GCL ID. So that's how we know to look for that on the landing page. And we're going to put that in a higher position than Google Organic. So we're going to say, check for this first. If that's not, then look for the referral of Google. So position is going to help set the priority so that you don't have overlapping roles. Okay. So with tracking sources, we also have our attribution models. So for on-site tracking, we offer two different attribution models, which is going to be first and last touch. So both attribution models are set to a default of a 30-day cookie window. This duration can be modified under the tracking code settings, which I'll be showing you soon. So first, the website. Okay. So next, we're going to look at some of our routing options. So with our routing, we have 5 standard routing options that we have. And sorry, I hear some people are saying that the audio is going in and out. I don't know what I can do about that, so I apologize for that. So with this, we have receiving numbers, voice menus, call queues. Whoa, my deck has come alive. The cell phone and smart routers. So first, let's review receiving numbers. So a receiving number is a phone number that we can forward calls to from your tracking numbers so that your team can answer these calls. If you have a phone number that people are calling today, it can be a receiving number. And this is available on all plans. So again, a receiving number could be your cell phone, it could be your house phone, it could be your desk phone, it could actually be a combination of all three. Then we have voice menus. So voice menus or IVR menus provide callers with options that help route them to the right person. Each menu has an intro voice message instructing the caller to press a certain key, along with a set of menu items that they can perform actions, like call a specific agent, leave a voicemail, or route to a different voicemail. You can, your call can show which voice menu key press that the caller has entered. And again, so this is, if you've ever called into CallTrackingMetrics, we have one of these. It's going to say, you know, press 1 for sales or 2 for support, and it's going to be able to direct you that way. So voice menus are available on all of our plans as well. And we'll actually be covering those in great depth in tomorrow's class. So if you wanted to know more about them, come back tomorrow. Then we have call queues. Queues are used to route calls to groups of agents. If no agents are currently available to answer the phone, the caller will be asked to hold, with optional custom messages spoken to them at defined intervals. Queues allow you to determine complex rules for selecting the best agent to handle the call. Callers can be routed to a queue either from a tracking number, through a voice menu option, or a smart router. Queues are available on the marketing and contact center plans, and we'll be covering queues in great detail on Thursday's class. So next we have the soft phone. So the soft phone, which is a software telephone, is a program that enables voice over internet protocol, also known as VoIP, excuse me, telephone calls from computing devices. In other words, it turns your computer into a phone. All you need is an internet connection and a headset with a microphone, and you'll be set up. So this is available on all plans, and we'll be covering the soft phone a little bit in every class. So we'll be doing a quick demo of it today. And then we have smart routers. So smart routers allow you to directly route callers based on information that can be immediately gathered about them, whether it's a repeat caller, their estimated location, their caller ID, the website they were on before they placed the call, the current date and time, and more. So the smart router, again, it's going to let you choose really logic before they're connected to route them to the right place. So we'll be covering that in Thursday's class as well, and that's available on the marketing and contact center plan. So with that, let's switch to a live demo and actually show you these settings. Now here I have an account that's brand new. So let's actually jump into CocoLoco, my demo account, so that we can see some information. So the first thing we discuss is going to be the tracking number. So first thing I like to show when I'm demoing is that I am using our left navigation, which you'll see everything is over to the side here. If you are not using the left nav, it is optional to join. It would be at the bottom of your settings. So I would encourage you to adapt to it. And you can also change the display mode, but I'm going to leave it into light mode for today. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to look at is our tracking numbers. So we get there from going to numbers, tracking numbers. And then here we have a list of all the tracking numbers that we have in this account. This is a really nice view, or I like this view because from here, it's going to tell us the tracking number we have, the tracking source it is assigned to. This is going to be the routing, so you know where is this going to ring. And then if it is an online source, it's going to show us what tracking numbers it should be replacing. I'm sorry, target numbers. So next, we're going to take a look at the target number setup. Now from here, we have a list of the target numbers we have configured. Here it's going to show us the match type, so whether we're looking for phone or exact. And then it's going to show you all the tracking numbers that could swap out for this target number. So this again would be the number on your website that we would be dynamically replacing. Okay, so next let's look at our tracking sources. So here's all the tracking sources we already have configured. Let me go ahead and create a new one so you can see this. So again, I would always recommend starting with the preset tracking source. So we could come here and then you'll be able to see these are all the pre-configured sources we have. So Google Ads is a common one. So if I were to select that, it's going to fill in the name, a description. It's going to set the type to on site. And then if we scroll down here, this is going to be the condition. So this is what's going to tell our system when we should swap for this number. So in the case of a Google paid click, we're going to be looking for this GCL ID. Now this comes in from Google Ads. If you have auto tagging enabled, every time there's a paid click, they're going to write this in. So that's how we'll know that this was in fact from a Google Ads click. Now for other sources like say Facebook, then you'll see that the condition here is going to be that the person was referred from Facebook. So what that means is that this number or numbers assigned to this source would only show if the person came from Facebook to your website. Okay. And then we talked about receiving numbers. So receiving numbers are going to be where the phone actually rings. So our numbers will forward to your receiving numbers. So that would be these listed here. And then here it would tell you what tracking numbers are actually ringing to these numbers. Okay, so let's switch back over to our deck. So next we're going to take a deep dive into our tracking code. The tracking code is a script that sits on your web page and tracks visitors to your website and swaps the phone number to a tracking number. It watches where people are coming from, matches them to advertising sources that you're tracking in your account, and stores data about where those visitors or what those visitors are doing on your site, such as landing page, last viewed page, IP address, location, and past visits. So here's some what is about our tracking code. So what does it look like? Well, the tracking code is going to look like this for actually every account. And then what it's going to have is your account ID built in here. So every sub account will have a different tracking code. So what the tracking code is going to be doing is it's going to be looking for the target numbers on your website, and it's going to be looking at how the person got there, and that's how it's going to know what tracking number to show. Another thing to note about the tracking code is that when you're placing it on your web pages, that this should go into the head tag of each of your web pages. And it should actually go on all of your pages if there's a phone number there or not. because it'll keep the tracking consistent. So another thing about the tracking code, actually, no, we'll get to that in the live demo. It uses cookies, so it is going to store how you got there for 30 days. You can adjust the cookie duration under the tracking code settings. Now, the out-of-the-box solution for the tracking code doesn't swap for images. It's going to only swap for phone numbers. An image is going to be a flattened item on your page. Now, we do have instructions if you have a developer on your team who could put in some custom code, because then we could swap out for an image. The tracking code is also going to be looking for the match type. So, phone match versus exact match. It's also going to be taking into account the attribution. So should it show first touch or last touch tracking sources? Okay, so next we're going to talk about porting. So did you know that you can port your phone numbers away from your current call tracking company or phone carrier into CallTrackingMetrics so that you can use them as tracking numbers in CTM? So this is a great way to ensure that you are able to continue to use numbers that you've had for a long time, and you don't have to miss out on customers who have those numbers saved. So this process of moving numbers between carriers is known as porting. The process usually takes 2 to 4 weeks and is available in the US and about 25 additional countries. It's a simple process to start, and you can create, it's a simple process to start. It will provide you with an exact port date, and your numbers can stay active during the entire process. This allows you to keep your long-standing phone numbers and use them as advertising call tracking numbers. So with that, we have one last video today on the porting process, and then we'll get into the actual full workshop of today.
Welcome to CallTrackingMetrics Guide to Porting. Try to always contact your current carrier to discuss their port-away process. Ask them for CSRs for each number. Numbers can have different addresses even in the same account. You will need 2 documents to begin the port process: an LOA and proof of ownership. This can be a bill, screenshot of phone numbers, or a Google unlock screen. Go to our port numbers page and fill out the form there. Accept our terms to be charged for the first month's fee. Sign the LOA and upload your proof of ownership. You will receive updates along the way that will be delivered to the email address of the user that entered the port, as well as in the notes section of the port page. A few reasons a port can be rejected are missing PIN and account number, wrong address, wrong signer or business name. For all rejections, please contact your current carrier. An email will be sent to the user that entered the port with the scheduled port date. On this date, the port will complete at 10 a.m. Pacific. At this time, please test your number.
All right, so that was a little on porting. Zoom it again. Okay, we'll do that next. So let's go into our working session. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a completely empty account, brand new. We're going to set up a receiving number, target number, tracking source. We're going to install the tracking code, and then we're going to buy tracking numbers and set it all up. So with that, jump into here. So here we have our completely empty account. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be using Unbound for our landing page today, just because it's a quick and easy example. You can use any platform that you have where you can install a code. So sign in. Of course, it logged me out. So I'm just going to create a nice fresh landing page that I'm going to use for the whole week. So I'll say Winter Academy 2020. So here we go. So really the one thing I need to do first is I need to put a target number on this page. So I'm going to do 410-000-0000. So this would be my target number, the phone number on my website that if somebody dialed, it would route to my business, right? So I'm going to hit save here. And I'm going to come over here and publish my page. Okay, so now I have my link. Now I'm going to put this into the chat so that you guys can see it and you can do the testing along with me. So here we have my beautiful page. And this is going to be my target number. So our objective here is to be able to successfully swap this out with tracking numbers, okay? So we're going to come back here. So the first thing I want to do is going to be set up my target number. So I'm going to go to my numbers tab, and then I'm going to come down to target numbers. Now in this case, I don't have any built, so it's going to bring me right into creating one. And I'm just going to call this website target number, that's singular. And I'm just going to type in that phone number to match the one on my website. So here we go. We'll hit save here. Now I've got my target number set up. So the next thing I want to do is create a receiving number. So the receiving number is going to be where I actually want these calls to ring. So this could, again, be a cell phone, it could be a landline, it could be a direct line, it could be your Google Voice number. So in this case, I'm going to put in this phone number here, and I'm going to call this Just Cell. So I'm going to tell it to ring to my cell phone number and hit save. There we go. So the next thing I want to do is set up my tracking sources. So this is going to be, you know, what channels do I want to track? So I'm going to go to my numbers tab and then select tracking sources. Now with this, I'm going to use two for my presets. I'm going to create a Google Ads tracking source, as well as I'm going to create a website tracking source. So first, let's do Google Ads. So there we go. Go ahead and select that. Now, since this is a preset, I shouldn't have to do anything else. All I want to do is come in here and hit save. And I can see I've got my one source made. So I want to do another one now. And with this one, I'm going to make it website. So website acts as almost a wild card. So what this will do is if they come from any landing page or any referring site, this will show, and you'll notice that this is in position 1000. So what this allows you to do is maybe have your priority 5 sources. So your items that you want to track and separate out, which might be, you know, Google Ads, Google Organic, Facebook, other campaigns like that. But you still want to track all of the calls being generated from your website and actually have the call recordings. So website is going to be, you know, a capture all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. And now when I go to my sources, you can see I have my Google Ads and my website. So my next step is going to be going in and actually purchasing my numbers. So to do that, we're going to go to numbers and then by numbers. So when you're in our shopping area, we have a few different options for you here. So first, you're going to want to select your country. So we do offer numbers in over, I believe, 70 different countries now. So you want to make sure you're selecting the proper country. We also offer local numbers as well as toll-free. So if I'm in the US and I want to find a 410 number that's local here in Maryland, CallTrackingMetrics, we're in the Annapolis area. So I can do a quick search for that. And then here's going to be all the tracking numbers we have available. Oh, I think this is Sherwood Forest. Real nice area. So again, this is going to be the numbers that we have. You can scroll through and find some that speak to you. Next, over here, we're going to have the rate center and features. So this is going to tell you where the actual rate center is. Is this text message capable? Is it HIPAA or eligible to be HIPAA compliant? So some good things to keep an eye for. Also, here's going to be your monthly fee for this number. Now, this number might look different in your account. Every plan has different costs associated to it. So in this case, a local number is 125. So I might want to come in here. Sure, this number speaks to me. I'll just add it over there. And then we could also search by toll-free. So here it's just going to give us, a random mixing of toll-free numbers. But if I had a specific toll-free that I'm looking for, like say 877, I could do that, and it would list them all here for me. Anytime you see this little guy, that just means that it's from one of our secondary providers, so it might not be able to be HIPAA compliant. So that is how you can search for toll-frees. So I'm going to go back here and get another Maryland number. Boom. So I'm going to do 443. There we go. So here's the two numbers that I'd like. I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm and purchase. So give me an overview. Okay, I have my two numbers. Let's process this. And then I'm going to hit configure numbers. Now, this is the reason I like to set everything up first. So now that I have my numbers, I can say, all right, let's put in my receiving number. If I had purchased, like, say, 10 numbers, hitting these little arrows would just fill it in. So I could say, downfill. I already have my sources created, so I can just pre-grab them here. And same with the target number, we've already configured that. So website. There we go. And then I also like to apply a label here. The labels to the tracking number itself is typically just are used for if you're extracting our data and using it in like a third-party system. They'd show up. So in your CRMs and stuff. So from here, I have it all set up. I have my numbers that I'm purchasing, where they're going to be configured to ring to, the source it'll be attributed to, and then the target number it's looking for on my website. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and hit save and continue. And I'm going to hit OK. This is going to take us into call settings. We're not going to go over that today. We'll be going over that tomorrow. So now if I go to my numbers, tracking numbers tab, you'll see I have my two fully set up tracking numbers. So here are the numbers, the source they're assigned to, the routing, and then the target number it's going to be trying to replace. So let's go back to my landing page. So this is going to be the page. Pull this up again. So this is the target number. Again, so the target number is going to be the number on your website. In many cases, the target number is going to be the same as where you're ringing your routing number. So that's very common. So what you'll notice is we didn't see the number swap. Why did that happen? Well, we did not do one big step. So we need to come back in, head over here. Now the secret sauce that ties everything together is going to be our tracking code. So there won't be any swapping or tracking without this tracking code on the page. So I need to grab that, go into my page here. It should go in the head tag. And paste it in. Now I'm going to hit save. Go back to publish. I see someone ask, can we integrate with Google Tag Manager? Absolutely. You can. We don't have like a set integration, but you can apply it, our tag to the tag manager, and then tell it to run on every page. So I know a lot of people have set it up that way. So great question there. All right, so here is our page. Now what we want to do is we're going to paste it in. Now in this case, I want to see a Google Ads number. So I need to simulate a Google Ads click. So what I would do is do question mark GCLID equals test. Now what I'm doing here is anytime there's a paid click, Google's going to be writing in that GCLID. So it's like a unique number. Or it's like a unique receipt number for a click. So in this case, I'm simulating a Google Ads click, and I should see my Google Ads number. Let's see what happens. And ta-da! So I see the 443 number. So let's see which one that was. So another way we might want to set this up. So we can see both. Here we go. Beautiful. So I go to my numbers and then tracking numbers. Beautiful. So my Google Ads number swapped for my Google Ads source. So good. So now if I wanted one for just my website source, what I can do is close this. And I'm going to create a new incognito window. Now it's important that you use an incognito browser and that you don't have multiple ones open because the cookies will pass. So in this case, now I'm going to go direct. So I should see my website tracking number instead of my Google Ads one. So let's see if this works out. And shazam. So now we're seeing the 410 number as opposed to the Google Ads number because I came to the website not from Google Ads. So that's kind of full circle with the swapping. So what happened, we came to the website, the code was on the page. It was able to identify how I got to the site and then determine the appropriate source to show. Now, if we wanted to do that one more time to see a Google Ads click, we would come in. Now, one thing that's really nice about incognito is that it'll actually tell you right here if you have multiple incognitos open, because those would pass cookies back and forth. So that's a helpful tool. So now if I'm coming there and I want to do question mark GCLID equals test, we should see the 443 number. And there we go. Pretty easy. I see someone typed in a question that said, so we only need one JavaScript snippet for the entire site. Yes, sir. One site, and then it's based on the conditions programmed into the tracking source that really ties it all together. One bit of code, it's going to look for how they got to your site. So was it a referral or was it a landing page? And then it's going to look at the sources you have built to determine what is the most appropriate number. So let me put this into the chat, the link, so you guys can all see it swap as well. So I just put in to the chat the link. So with that, it's already got the GCL ID. So that would be, that would simulate a Google Ads click. So, okay, I have another question. It says, can I schedule the routing number? I mean, to receive some particular days or hours. Yes. So we actually offer really robust scheduling. We'll be reviewing that in tomorrow's class. So the next thing to do, which will really tie together a whole course today, is to actually place a test call to the tracking number. So what I'm going to do is call it, and we'll see what happens inside the log. So, there's my call coming in. So we can see that this is me calling. We can see I'm calling the source of Google Ads. Go ahead and it's going to be able to tell me the actual landing page I was on, which is pretty cool. So here you can see that I came in, from the Winter Academy page. And then you can see there's actually routing to the same number. So full system here. So quick recap of what we've done today. We've gone over and defined what a tracking number is, how we can purchase them. We've looked at a tracking source, which is going to be telling the system what tracking number they should be showing. We've looked at receiving numbers, which is where it's actually going to ring to. And we've talked about target numbers, which is the actual number on your website that will be dynamically replacing with a tracking number. So we've set that all up, combined it, and then actually saw the swapping take place. So in just an hour, we've done so much. So I see some questions coming in. So let's take a look at these. So somebody says, what if they got to the site in multiple ways? How would it know which ad it came from? So when somebody comes to your website, I mean, they're only coming one way, and that's where the attribution is going to come in. Are we doing first touch, which is going to, give the attribution to the original way they came in, or is it doing last touch, which is going to be the most recent way that they came in? So you actually have some flexibility with that. And then how would you know which ad the call came from? So with that, we're getting that directly from Google Ads. So if it came from Google Ads, we're going to send that call to them. And then we're going to say, hey, we tracked this call at this time. And then they would pass us back the attribution. So we would get, the campaign keyword ad group. We'd get all that good information. So yes, we'd be able to tell you which ad generated the call. So good questions there. So when we get the attribution back from Google Ads, well, first, the class on Wednesday is going to be very Google and attribution themed. So we're going to dig into all of that in and out on Wednesday. But the attribution does come in delayed. So when the call is completed, we submit that data to ads and then they will respond back. That typically takes about 20 minutes to an hour for that data to come back. Okay, now I did want to show you our resources because we have lots of very good resources for you. So if you go to your help here, we have our knowledge base. So this is going to be, you want more information on tracking sources, you can search that right here. If you need help with something, you can create a ticket. We have ticket support, phone support, chat support. So we do have a lot of great support resources for you. Or of course, you could try to find the solution yourself. We also have our community. Our community is a great place to maybe you want to request an integration or send some product feedback. This is very new and monitored. So if you have some questions, feel free to enter them in here. And then lastly, we have our our launch pad. So let's open this up. So this is going to be a step-by-step training course. So it does require that you log in. And then with these, really handy, you can go in, there's different topics, and then each topic is broken up into little courses. So this is some great information. It does cover a lot of the stuff that we covered today. So let me go ahead and put this link into the chat so you guys can all access that. There you go. All right, I see another question that came in. It says, what's the difference between the number that I could buy and the number on my landing page? And if I buy a new dynamic number? Okay, so yeah, this is a common confusion. So the numbers that you buy with us are going to be the ones that are dynamically swapping on your pages. The reason that's important is that's going to contribute to how we're tracking. Now, if you were to buy a number and just put it on your page and have it so that we're not doing the swapping, we're going to 100% of the time say that that is how the person got to the site, which can really corrupt data. Even things like landing pages. People say that people can only get there from an ad, which can be technically true, but somebody could click that ad and then copy that link and send it in an email to someone. So with that, there is lots of different ways that people can get to a site. So it's important that we do the DNI so that we know truly how they got there rather than hard coding the number. So I don't know if I made that easier or more complicated. So the tracking numbers are going to be the numbers we're either dynamically swapping or the number that you might say print on a billboard. So with that, actually, I have a pop quiz for the end of the class. Let's go ahead and launch this. Nice summary. So what is a tracking number? Does it represent the various ways your potential customers first learn about your company, often through advertising? Is it the number that is listed / hard coded on your website that we're replacing with a tracking number? Is it the phone number we're forwarding calls to so you can answer them? This is frequently your desk phone, mobile phone, or call center. Is it a script that sits on your website that tracks a visitor to your website and swaps the phone number with a tracking number? Or is it the number that dynamically appears on a website or in the ad the customer sees and dials? So with that, we have what is the tracking code? What is a receiving number? What is a target number? And what is a tracking source? I'll give you guys a few minutes to go through and look at that or fill that out. And then in the meantime, let me grab this link again. So I see some people filling them out, like 10%. Give you guys just another minute. All right, looks like about 35%. Let's go ahead and show the results. So what is a tracking number? Looks like the majority of us did get it right. It is the number that dynamically appears on our website and in the ad that the customer sees and dials. Good job. What is the tracking code? The tracking code is a script that sits on your website and tracks the visitors to your website and swaps the phone number to a tracking number. So good job on that one. What is a receiving number? Oh, looks like everyone got this right. So the receiving number is the phone number we're forwarding calls to so you can answer them. This is frequently your desk phone, mobile phone, or call center line. What is a target number? So it looks like we majority got this right as well. The number that is listed or hard coded, as we say, on your website that will be replacing with the target number. I'm sorry, with the tracking number. See, even I like jumble all the terms because it doesn't help that they sound a lot alike as well. So then for the win, what is a tracking source? It represents the various ways your potential customers first learn about your company, often through advertising. So good job with that, everyone. And with that, any last questions? Tomorrow we'll be getting into additional routing options. We're going to look at schedules, IVRs. We're going to look at calls, the call settings panel. So we have a lot more good content to get into tomorrow. And then Wednesday, again, that's going to be really attribution themed. So I know we had a lot of Google questions today. I would recommend attending that one as we'll get really into it. Okay, I don't see any more questions coming in. So thank you all for attending today, and I hope to see everyone tomorrow.